There is nothing more entertaining in American politics than a presidential race, from the Donald's diatribes to Rubio's ramblings and Christie's wisecracks. Ron Paul is here to drop more than just a dime on this and a whole lot more. Speaking of which, Chris Christie is loud, bombastic, and hardcore, in your face, exactly what America might really need come 2016. But let's get some Christie reality from one who knows him best. And Hollywood has left us believing there is nothing like being a spy, and more often than not, no one more bumbling than the Russians. We'll talk with a double agent who saw it all up close and personal. And in telling it like it is, let this 4th of July reveal to all the exact type of leader we must have at the helm. Light the fireworks, break out the American flags. We've earned it. I'm Ed Berliner, and this is The Hardline for July 2nd, 2015.
I would build a great wall, and nobody builds walls better than me, believe me. And I'll build them very inexpensively. I will build a great, great wall on our southern border, and I will have Mexico pay for that wall. Mark my words.
The Republican presidential polls have us believing Jeb Bush and Donald Trump have the nation in their grip. But ask one who's been there. It all adds up to a donut hole in getting the keys to Pennsylvania Avenue. And whomever has eyes on the prize, they best be watching what's cooking financially in Greece and thinking more than twice about overseas military commitments. Just two of the issues we'll cover with former presidential candidate, former Texas congressman, the founder of Campaign for Liberty. Welcome Ron Paul back to the Hardline. Congressman, good to see you again.
Thank you, Ed. Nice to be with you.
Everybody is talking now about presidential politics, and everybody right now is talking about the Donald. So let me ask you flat out. You've heard it. You've watched it. We've all seen him rise in the polls. Is Donald Trump ruining the GOP?
No, I don't think so. What I fear is that he may be tapping into something in a sentiment, and the people may love this aggressive personality that's going to take charge. That worries me a little bit. But yes, I think he's tapping into a lot of feelings, when he talks about borders and different things like that, and the terrible condition of the economy. I think he taps into a lot of people. But the thing that concerns me is that it's sort of like take charge and take over, and I think we've had too much government taking charge and taking over, and it's the government they created, and we don't need somebody with an iron fist to come in and say it'll be done my way and I can correct all these problems, because the solution isn't to have somebody strong to tell us what to do. What we need is enough people to have confidence in themselves and let the people make their own decisions.
So would you then go with those who say that right now, watching Donald Trump and watching everything else that's happening in the GOP, but specifically the Donald, that Democrats right now are just salivating to have him in the race?
Yeah, sort of like the Republicans think that it'll be, an easy chore to beat Hillary, too. And I think it's just a little bit too early to make all those decisions, because there's a lot yet more to come out. But no, there's going to be a certain segment that's going to really resent what Trump is doing, and the Democrats will play on that. But then there's going to be this other part, and I guess that's what elections are all about, to find out who's going to line up on what side. But I know there's a lot of frustration in this country, and sometimes when people say, I have the answers and I will take care of it, they don't quite understand how liberty works. It should be, leave me alone and I'll take care of it. I'll work. Let me keep what I earn. And so people, it's a contest between the people who want self-reliance and those who say, I'm going to take charge and I'm going to make sure the government takes care of everything, all the problems that exist in the world.
So let's talk about some of that frustration. Let's turn to the economy. You briefly mentioned it a moment ago. You, not too long ago, said the stock market's day of reckoning is near. And then again, if you take Trump, who basically says, I'm a multi-gazillionaire, I'm the one to run the economy right now, taking what you said about the stock market and that day of reckoning, and then looking at Donald Trump, do you think that he's the guy to basically run the economic fortunes of America?
No, I don't think anybody should be running the economy, and that's the whole fallacy of our last 100 years. We've adopted and adapted to Keynesian economics that the government has to run it through central banking, price fixing, tell them the price of money, and what the money supply ought to be. And then you have problems, so well, we'll regulate the problems away. So no, we don't want that to happen. He can't run the economy. He can't create jobs, and he should know that. He can create jobs if he stays in the building industry, but even his industry is going to be in trouble because he might build too many buildings because interest rates are zero. If I heard him talking about, well, yes, I want to get this country moving again by getting rid of the Federal Reserve and going back to market economy and sound money and balance our budget, that'd be a different story. But I haven't heard that yet.
So how do we then cut through all of that, Congressman? Because you've got every political candidate out there saying, I can raise the economy by 4% a year, maybe 5%. I'm the one to do it and we can get this economy moving. And what you've just said, look, there's just not a lot of truth in it all, at least the way that they're telling us that it can be done. So in your opinion, how does the American voter cut through all that and get these people to give us some truth or understand what they need to do in order to make it happen and get us back on an economic track?
I think it's all an educational problem because we have been lectured and bamboozled into believing in interventionist economics and planned economy. So we have to get more people to understand what is necessary and that the problems that we have to be eliminated and liquidated and having a change. We have to have a revolutionary change in our economic thinking. And then the people are the ones who produce the jobs, not the government. The government is supposed to provide an environment where the people are energized, but right now, the end stages are sort of what you see in Detroit and Greece. How am I going to get my pension fund? And I want to continue to retire at the age of 56. And we don't want any problems, and the debt should be bought by somebody else. Instead of saying, to correct this, you have to liquidate debt, get rid of the mistakes, restore sound money, or have an understanding of sound money. So it's really down to the essence of getting people to understand good economics, which isn't, the most popular thing to do in politics. But none of this talk about I'm going to produce a 4% interest rates or growth rate and not talk about real changes in the way the economy is run. We do not have a free market. Every day the market gets less free. Individual liberty gets further eroded, and we expand ourselves further around the world. And the only reason this exists is that we have been endowed with the ability to print the reserve currency of the world, and my predictions are based on the fact that that can't be forever. There's been never a country that was able to maintain a fiat country forever. Eventually it fails, and that is when you will have to make a reassessment. We're either going to live under total tyranny, or we're going to say, there's trials that we had in our early history, trials of free markets and sound money. Maybe we ought to look that way. But that's where I think we're making inroads. I talk to the young people of the country and go to the college campuses, and no, I don't get 51% of the campuses out to hear me. But if we get thousands out and get the leadership of 8% of the country talking sense, then I think we have a chance to win this. But we have to change a lot of policies. We are challenging the status quo on the conventional wisdom of us being the policemen of the world, that the central bank, the Fed, knows what the rate of interest should be, and understanding how regulations cannot solve the problems that governments create. Every time you create one regulation, you create two new problems, and it keeps pyramiding. That all has to end, and it will end. The question is, what are we going to put in its place?
Congressman, I only got about 60 seconds left. I need to ask you this, another issue that's going on in America right now, the same-sex marriage issue. In your opinion, do you agree with those people who say that same-sex marriage could destroy America?
No, I don't agree with that, but one thing I agree strongly with is the principle that the whole notion of licensing to get married and dictating definitions of words, I might have one definition, somebody else something else. Well, why do we have these licenses? We started the licensing, 150 years ago because they wanted to keep blacks from marrying whites, and I don't think that's the purpose of a license. So if people want to have same-sex marriage and call themselves married, that's their business. That's the wonderful thing about libertarianism. It doesn't have to make that final decision of what people should do. You say, what my business in government is to allow people to make the choices, whether they're economic or social.
Absolutely.
And then they get to live with their own decisions.
And just make their own decisions. There you go. Congressman Ron Paul, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. I thank you so much. To you and your family, have a very safe and a very happy 4th of July.
Thank you, Ed.
All right, take care. Coming up next, hey, we talked some politics. Let's do some more. The political animal is next, right here on the fastest 60 minutes in news.